Welcome back to UK Political Insight, and if you thought politicians dodging accountability was just a casual hobby, think again. Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor who spent more time explaining her budget than anyone spent actually understanding it, has apparently decided that some media outlets are worth her time and others, well, aren't. After unleashing an autumn budget that hit working people harder than a January gym membership they'll never use, Reeves embarked on a media tour that included Good Morning Britain, Sky News, and even GB News. But when Camilla Tominey invited her back for a proper grilling, suddenly the Chancellor was too busy. And Camilla, she had 6 words that absolutely demolished the entire situation. What was the bigger con? The Chancellor's CV or this budget? Honestly, just chef's kiss. Brutal, precise, and devastatingly effective. Because those 6 words cut right to the heart of 2 massive scandals. First, there's the Rachel Reeves CV controversy, where questions were raised about embellishments regarding her work experience. That's already damaged her credibility. And second, there's the budget itself, which promised one thing and delivered another. So Camilla's basically asking, which lie is worse? The lie about your past or the lie about our future? It's the kind of question that makes politicians squirm, and it's exactly the kind of accountability we need more of. But before we proceed, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more updates on this channel. Thank you. So here's what went down. Rachel Reeves drops her autumn budget, which, let's be honest, went down about as well as a vegan sausage roll at a butcher's convention. Taxes up, national insurance contributions up, basically everything up except public approval ratings. Classic budget stuff. Naturally, she needs to do the media rounds to explain why working people are now paying more despite being promised they wouldn't. Fair enough. That's part of the job. You make controversial decisions, you face the music. Except Rachel Reeves seems to think facing the music means only turning up to venues where the DJ plays your favorite songs. She appeared on Good Morning Britain, where the hosts are generally polite, and the questions, while pointed, are manageable. She did Sky News, where, again, tough questions, but nothing she couldn't handle with a bit of political spin and some carefully rehearsed talking points. She even appeared on GB News with Dixon and Ellie Costello, which shows she's not completely avoiding the channel. But then comes the weekend, and Camilla Tominey's show rolls around. Now, if you've ever seen Camilla interview anyone, you know she doesn't mess about. She's the kind of journalist who asks the questions politicians don't want to answer and then refuses to accept nonsensical responses. She's basically every politician's nightmare dressed up as Sunday morning television. And apparently, Rachel Reeves decided she'd rather do literally anything else than sit across from Camilla and explain her budget decisions. Instead of the Chancellor, GB News viewers get James Murray, the Chief Secretary to the Treasury. Now, James seems like a nice enough bloke, and to his credit, he regularly shows up to take one for the team. But here's the thing. Nobody tuned in to hear from James Murray. They wanted the Chancellor. They wanted the person who actually designed this budget, who made the decisions, who stood at the dispatch box and delivered the numbers. Sending James Murray instead of Rachel Reeves is like ordering a full English breakfast and getting a bowl of cornflakes. Sure, it's still breakfast, but it's not what you asked for, and you're definitely not satisfied. Camilla Tominey, being the absolute professional she is, immediately calls this out. She welcomes James to the show, acknowledges he's a good sport for showing up, and then asks the question everyone's thinking. Where's the Chancellor? And James, bless him, gives the most predictable politician answer imaginable. The Chancellor's giving other interviews this morning. She's working. She works every day. Cool story, James, but that doesn't answer the question. Why is she doing other interviews but not this one? What's so special about Sunday Morning with Camilla Tominey that makes the Chancellor suddenly develop a scheduling conflict? It's not like Camilla's going to ask anything tougher than what she'd face anywhere else. Or is she? Camilla doesn't let it slide. She points out that in the nearly 3 years she's been doing this show, Rachel Reeves hasn't appeared once. Not once. 3 years. That's not a scheduling conflict. That's a deliberate choice. That's a Chancellor who's decided that certain journalists are worth her time and others, well, aren't. And that should bother everyone, regardless of your political leanings, because politicians shouldn't get to pick and choose who holds them accountable. Imagine if doctors only saw patients with minor ailments and avoided anyone with serious health issues, or if teachers only taught students who already knew everything. It's ridiculous. Politicians are supposed to serve everyone, which means they should be willing to answer questions from everyone, even when those questions are uncomfortable. James Murray tries to deflect with a bit of humor, asking if Camilla likes having him on the show. It's a classic politician move. Lighten the mood, make it personal, redirect the conversation. But Camilla has absolutely none of it. She fires back that yes, she likes having him on, but this is a critical weekend. GB News viewers pay taxes. They've been hit with higher bills, and they deserve to hear from the person who made those decisions. Not the understudy, not someone who can parrot the party line but can't actually answer for the choices made. They deserve the Chancellor, herself. And then Camilla drops the absolute bomb, the 6 words that should be plastered on billboards across the country. What was the bigger con? The Chancellor's CV or this budget? Honestly, just chef's kiss. Brutal, precise, and devastatingly effective. Because those 6 words cut right to the heart of 2 massive scandals. First, there's the Rachel Reeves CV controversy, where questions were raised about embellishments regarding her work experience. That's already damaged her credibility. And second, there's the budget itself, which promised one thing and delivered another. So Camilla's basically asking, which lie is worse? The lie about your past or the lie about our future? It's the kind of question that makes politicians squirm, and it's exactly the kind of accountability we need more of. James Murray, to his credit, doesn't completely crumble. He defends the Chancellor, explaining that Labour's aim with the budget was to reduce the cost of living, cut NHS waiting lists, and bring down government borrowing. Noble goals, truly. But the problem is that the budget doesn't actually achieve those things in any meaningful way. Raising taxes on working people doesn't reduce their cost of living, it increases it. Pumping money into the NHS without fixing the fundamental structural problems doesn't cut waiting lists. It's like trying to bail out a sinking ship with a teaspoon. And as for bringing down government borrowing, well, let's just say the numbers don't exactly inspire confidence. But the real fireworks come later in the interview, when Camilla accuses Labour of breaching its manifesto by raising taxes on working people. This is the core issue. This is what voters like Don Daniels are furious about. Labour's manifesto promised they'd only raise taxes by $8.5 billion. But between the last budget and this one, they've actually raised taxes by $66 billion. That's not a rounding error. That's not a slight miscalculation. That's a fundamental betrayal of what voters were promised. And when Camilla confronts James Murray with these numbers, his response is to deny they've broken the manifesto. Deny it with a straight face on live television. Camilla is genuinely shocked. You can hear it in her voice. She asks if she's for real. Because how can anyone look at those numbers and claim they haven't broken their promises? Labour said $8.5 billion. They've delivered $66 billion. That's not even in the same ballpark. That's not even the same sport. It's like promising someone a cup of tea and then hosing them down with a fire truck. Technically, both involve liquid, but one is significantly more than the other and definitely not what was agreed upon. James Murray then makes it worse by saying they're asking working people to make a contribution. Asking, as if it's optional, as if workers can just politely decline and say, "No thanks, I'll pass on this tax increase." That's not how taxes work, James. When the government raises national insurance contributions, workers don't get to vote on it. They don't get to opt out. They just get to watch their take-home pay shrink and hope they can still afford their mortgage. Calling it asking working people to make a contribution is the kind of language that makes ordinary voters want to throw their televisions out the window. Camilla pounces on this immediately. So you are taxing working people. So you've broken the manifesto. It's a simple question, a yes or no question. But James Murray can't just say yes, because admitting they broke the manifesto would be political suicide. So instead, he launches into an explanation about how they're keeping the tax burden on working people as low as possible, which is politician speak for, yes, we're taxing you, but we promise it could be worse. It's like someone stealing your wallet and then patting themselves on the back for leaving you your keys. Camilla calls it what it is, an extraordinary fudge. And she's absolutely right. This is textbook political fudging. Take a simple question, bury it under layers of jargon and justification, and hope people forget what the original question was. But Camilla doesn't forget. She refuses to accept that Labor hasn't broken its manifesto because the evidence is right there. The numbers don't lie. 8.5 billion promised, 66 billion delivered. That's a broken promise no matter how much spin you put on it. What makes this whole situation even more frustrating is that Rachel Reeves could have just shown up. She could have sat down with Camilla Tominey and defended her budget. She could have explained the tough choices, acknowledged the broken promises, and made a case for why it was necessary. Would it have been comfortable? No. Would she have faced tough questions? Absolutely. But at least she would have shown respect for the viewers and the journalist. At least she would have demonstrated that she's willing to be held accountable by everyone, not just the interviewers she thinks will be easier on her. Instead, by refusing to appear, Rachel Reeves has sent a clear message. She'll only face scrutiny on her terms. She'll do the interviews she thinks she can handle and avoid the ones that might be more challenging. And that's not how accountability works in a democracy. Politicians don't get to choose